Gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. I'm your host Beebs, joined by my co-host Chen. We got a lot coming at you guys today. Week 4 recap, Week 5 predictions, classic staples at this point: buy, sell, hold. We're doing our quarter season awards since we're a quarter of the way through the year. But before all that, quick explanation: we're about 3 days late on this episode. Work emergencies for the both of us. Not much we can do. But if you guys are enjoying Thursday episode better, just let us know, and we'll maybe make that adjustment. We're pretty flexible here. So we'll be back on Monday for Week 5, but if we see that this episode does better, we might be able to make that change for Week 6 or Week 7. So without further ado, before we dive completely in, Jen, how you doing today, man?
I should have had it. My whole bit was I was going to hold up the Uno reverse card, but it's fine. No, man, because you say like, yeah, we had work emergencies, but like you moved to like arguably, in my opinion, one of the worst states, just from their fan base alone. I mean, it's been a busy week. Obviously, life happens, but how are you doing? Like, is the air as toxic as I believe it probably is? Like, you just breathe in, you're like, oh, you start choking. Like, what happens?
I got for further context, I moved back to the Chicagoland area this weekend,
that was
which
obvious.
was part of the yeah, man. It's tough. You see people walking around in Justin Fields jersey. You go to Dunkin' Donuts, you see a Justin Fields advertisement. You're like, man, I feel bad for this city. Like it's just pity, man. Like it's you just feel bad. There's nothing you can do. One of the most I've never seen a fan base so delusional. We talked about them being delusional before the year. And then went on record saying, they'll be better, though. They'll win. Instead of 3 games, they'll win 6 or 7. And wow.
I think we're back to 3.
I don't know if we're getting 1, man. I don't know if we're getting 1.
That is great that you brought that up, because that was actually my initial question, was like, who do they claim as their star player? Because I guess it's Fields, but like,
here's the thing with Justin Fields.
That's got to be a low.
Justin Fields, comparatively to the rest of, and we can just dive into we have the Bears game recap on the list.
Right,
so we can just dive into that.
Right.
But the Bears fan base has been seeking for a quarterback for so long. And the problem with Justin Fields is, after starting his career, 5-22 going into the season as a starter, they convinced themselves that he was the answer, and he had been the answer. And I'm not going to say that I wasn't on this podcast talking good about him, because he looked decent and he has great tape. If you look at his rookie year, sophomore year, this is just a complete regression that I don't think anybody saw coming. I know who to point the finger at, and we can get into that. But from a Bears fan base perspective, I've never seen an entire city in such disarray. I mean, ranging from Caleb Williams, let's pick him, to it doesn't matter who we pick or what we do, we'll ruin their career anyways. So I wouldn't be shocked if Caleb Williams decides to not come out of the draft before the first overall pick.
Yeah, which I actually is like really likely to happen. I'm seeing now, like, even made a comment of like, I make a lot of money in NIL. Like, there's no rush. Like, that is honestly going to be kind of game-changing for the future. I know we want to dive into the Bears and whatnot, but when you think of like Eli Manning was probably the last guy I can remember to like be like, hey, I'm not going to this team. But like, as a rookie, you really don't have leverage. Like, I hate to say it, but financially, you're always inclined to go to the team that picks you at 1 than the team that pick you at 5. But this NIL kind of changes that. But back to the bad news Bears. Shout out to The Sandlot, classic movie. It's kind of great. I made a joke. I work with younger crowds now about The Sandlot probably like a week ago, and nobody really caught on to that. So
that's sad.
That hurt me, man. Anyways, they had a shot. I mean, they were up 28-7. Can you walk me through a little bit of what, because Fields look great on paper in terms of, game wise, especially what we've seen this season, probably his best game of the year so far. How did Sean Payton and Russell Wilson's ramen cooking, get it done. I got I need answers.
I honestly like I, I did not have a chance, obviously, with the move and everything, to really like break down this game and
Sure.
watch the flow of it. The best I got out of this game was red zone, but to me, it really just felt like the Bears were in a position that they had not been in a very long time and found a way to really screw it up. You get up 28-7 and just I mean 21-7 at half, 28-7 kick off the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get in that position, the Bears they got there that or on Sunday, they got up because of Justin Fields. He looked like a different guy for the first time all year. I mean, he was lighting it up. Just looking at his end of game stats 335 yards passing, 28 35, four touchdowns, one interception. And I guess just I don't want to blame the coaches for this loss, although that's probably who should get the blame. Like, it just seems like a collective failure altogether on clock management and lead management. And obviously, like we know their defensive problems are very, very relevant. But I just want to say this, like, regardless of this game or whatnot, I was saying it before this week. This might be the worst NFL team I've ever seen. Like, I genuinely believe that it does not get much worse than this. And sure, you can make the argument 0-16 Lions, 0-16 Browns, whatever. This is worse because before the season, these people, like, there were people saying that they were going to be good. And there were people saying that they were, Fields was an MVP, can't potential, dark horse MVP candidate. And even myself, I had them as I guess a low bubble playoff team at 7 wins, like depending on how things shake out. But I did not have them making the playoffs, but low end bubble. If something crazy happens,
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
they grab a wild card. That's where I had them. I thought they would take a step forward, and it's just been. I mean, not one step forward, two steps back. It's been like 7 steps back, and they've yet to take a step forward.
Yeah, like 7-step drop back, run around 10 more yards backwards and sacked in the end zone. I will kind of just add on to the fact that as much as improvement as was supposedly made this offseason, I keep thinking about the question of like that star player. Because we think of the 0-16 Lions, they still had Calvin Johnson. So it's like that is a terrible team, probably one of, I mean, top 5 worst of all time. But they had a player that, I mean, maybe they get a game in a different season. Looking at the Bears, especially how poorly coached they are, is it possible we see an 0-17? Because the Broncos, that was the game.
I don't
Like,
think.
that was
I
the
don't think.
game.
Here's why I don't think they'll go in 17.
Yeah, I like to hear.
Because they're gonna have an interim head coach at some point this year, and an interim head
Mhm.
coach is gonna get a win. Like that's just
That's
it
fair.
happens every time.
They
But
find a way. Jeff Saturday.
if they do not fire their coach at some point this season, they will go 0-17. Like I see no reason
I would agree
from
with
a
that.
gam from not even from a gambling, like from our picking perspective. I see them on there. I see no reason and no incentive to ever select them until proven otherwise.
It's like, why?
No,
It really is like, why? Because if Justin Fields is your best piece, even if you throw in a DJ Moore, Tremaine Edmonds, there's just not enough there.
dude, they couldn't beat a team that gave up 70 points.
Literally, like when you look at every other NFL roster, there's just even the Texans, who I thought, I mean, we can talk.
They're good.
But like, yeah, it's like, okay, look at that. Like, they got better players than the Bears, and this was a team that was supposed to have won the offseason in a lot of people's minds. I mean, you saw the grades of off seasons. The Bears were in the top 5 for most like sports writers. Like, this is not a opinion from us. This is the Bears were expected to be at a certain point and move forward in some capacity at all, given what they had invested this offseason. And it's somehow they're going backwards, which
it all stems from the top, man. It all stems from the top. 2011 or 12, they go 10-6 under Lovie Smith. This is after a decade or so of being in NFC contention. They went to a Super Bowl, and then they went back to the NFC Championship the year the Packers won the Super Bowl. Just felt like I wanted to say that to remind people of that. but they were in the NFC playoffs consistently. They were in contention under the Urlacher kind of led defense. They were good. They knew they had an identity. They knew who they were.
Yeah,
They were a tough nose, tough out every year. Fire Lovey Smith after going 10-6, and it has just been a complete coaching and quarterback carousel ever since. And that is proving to be one of the worst decisions in their franchise's history, in my opinion, because it has just sent them down the spiral. And the fan base has gotten used to this. This is the Bears historically are not this bad. They've been very solid historically. Over the if you look at the course, they're one of the most winningest teams in terms of total wins. I know they have a longer history, but you get my point. Uh,
right.
and now the fans have just gotten used to this like 3-year coaching staff turnover era, and now it's getting even faster. Like, oh, we're gonna draft Trubisky. Whatever was it, second overall, third overall, something, or was it that?
They went
It
from
was that
third
high.
to second. Like they literally traded up because the 49ers got him with the up fake of like we might take Trubisky.
Yeah,
And it's like you're talking about that desperation of like trying to improve, like microwave, like let's just throw it all together. And they had an identity. It was defense. It was the monsters of the Midway since
yeah.
'85. They've always had an amazing middle linebacker between Singletary, Urlacher. I'll throw in Lance Briggs and always a middle linebacker, but like you would think
Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith, who they traded away. And even then, you trade away Khalil Mack, who had 6 sacks on Sunday. Like, they're just making bad decisions to the point where I'm starting to view them in that capacity of the Raiders, of like, they just might be like cursed. Like, in
I don't
terms,
even.
they'll
You can't even say that though, because the Raiders have a rock solid history. It's just been the last like 15 to 20 years, ever since kind of they traded Gruden, lost that Super Bowl.
and
They've been really brutal. But prior to that, like the John Madden days and whatnot, they were good. They dominated the AFL. But the Bears, like, they've gotten so accustomed to this carousel of just like hoping for the answer. It's like we talked about the chess piece analogy from a couple weeks back and building a team around a quarterback. They won 12 games and dominated the NFC North with Mitch Trubisky. And 2 years later, the entire fan base had completely abandoned him and alienated him, ran him out of town when he was an average quarterback. And they had other problems that needed to be addressed. Under Mitch Trubisky, I don't think they ever were under 500 except once. That was his final year. They were like 7-9 or 6-10, one of those years, above 500. Under Justin Fields, you have a 3-win season, this 0-4 start, and I don't even remember what he was his rookie year, but 5-22. So he had 2 wins, didn't he? Like it's just like I don't know where the patience is with this coaching staff. I mean, this is just an abysmal start. I don't even know how to like. First off, their defensive coordinator like left the team for like
I heard about
something.
that.
Like
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure for like harassing a worker. I'm not
dude.
100%
Yeah,
positive on that.
so I gotta just put it up. Did you Charles Tillman? Is he actually in the FBI? I saw a whole thing that like he's an FBI agent
I
now.
have not seen
Off
this.
Alan Williams. That maybe someone's need to Google it, but like that would make sense. I mean, you retire from the NFL, you need something to do. But essentially, like I heard he was like tipped off because yeah, Alan Williams has got some weird harassment kind of situations going. I guess was not good, so he's stepping away from the team. But I think of this like Matt Eberflus, I believe was like defensive guy coming over from the Colts, and you not only take away his best weapons in Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack, he's not he's not utilizing anything. Like offensively, you've taken a step back because you can't develop Fields. He's not an offensive mind. Defensively, you've nothing there. So that's what really I think led to the collapse on Sunday. I'm really in the party of like I heard there's rumblings if they don't win tonight that he's gone. He should be because this is not
This
saying
is
coach somewhere. He is not the head coach for the Bears. Like they need somebody new.
and
They
here's my problem. Okay, when you have a guy like Eberflus who is just horrible every year you've had him, right? You haven't had any success. Yeah, you
yeah,
cut the ties this early in his tenure, but when you have a guy like Matt Nagy who started out really good, won a division title for you, had a heartbreaker in the playoffs.
yeah.
Sure, he had 2 down years, but you were 500 in one of them and just below it in the next. why are you cutting ties with that guy so early in his tenure? That's why I feel like this organization. I know that Matt Nagy's head was on a platter, and the entire city of Chicago wanted it gone. But when
Mhm.
hindsight's 2020, you can't help but wonder, like, why. Sure, a guy like Eberflus. I'm trying to find an example of somebody who's comparable from another franchise, but I
Oh,
just feel like
dude, Philly, because Doug Peterson literally went through that same spiel with Matt Nagy. I mean, Matt Nagy didn't win a Super Bowl, but like Doug Peterson,
yeah.
like one bad kind of fall off year with Wentz, and then everybody was done with him. And we see he can still coach, and like obviously Lovie Smith can still coach. It's not even like an Eberflus thing. It's just he was not set up to succeed, in my opinion. And they don't have the offensive guy, and Luke Getzey's a terrible
Well,
OC.
and here's my thing is
They just
it's
don't have
looking
that
right
mind.
now, all of that to say this, it's looking like right now they literally might have the first two picks of the draft next year because of the DJ
which
Moore
is
trade,
nuts.
which
Which is
is nuts. You if you are not going to have Justin Fields, and we can get into that. If you're not going to have Justin Fields and you're not going to have Matt Eberflus, which we're definitely not going to have Matt Eberflus by the end of the year, get
mm,
whoever, start working on that decision now so they can make those picks. Okay. Get
agreed.
your plan now so they can make those picks because Eberflus didn't pick. I'm pretty sure Nagy picked Justin Fields. And this is now Justin Fields' third coach, including Matt Nagy, in
Yep.
3 years. So, like, or however many years it's been, that decision was made two staffs ago. You've got something like the first two overall picks in the draft, which I don't remember the last time it's ever happened. You need to have the people that are going to coach those players or the people that are going to coach that draft class immediately making those picks. And that's been part of the issue with the Bears too. So much turnover that
Yep.
people are getting pieces that are part of a puzzle that they didn't start.
Yeah. No, that's I'm glad you brought that up because they went from Jay Cutler with Mark Trestman. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh, jeez.
And went to that's who got Trubisky in there. And that was the whole panic of we need our guy at over. So then they go to Nagy and then he goes and gets Fields. And now you don't keep him with Fields and you move. So like if they're gonna go down this path, getting Caleb Williams again, they're doomed to literally repeat the history of that they've been making since Lovie Smith and Jay Cutler. Like it's a recent history. You'd think you'd change something, but I feel like we've given this team too much time. I mean, there's we could talk probably for an hour about how bad this team really is. From all we even really touched on the defense, and like that's a part where it's like I couldn't. They got Jaquan Brisker
I'm just giving him the benefit of
signing,
the doubt because our
and it's
defensive coordinator left the team right at the start of the year. So like the defensive unit was just doomed from that.
from the
Just from
start.
that, from
Yeah,
that. Like, what are you gonna do?
fair
That
enough.
just sucks. Who's ever taking that on is taking yet again another piece of a puzzle that wasn't theirs to begin with.
Yeah, that is so true. I don't know why
So
teams buy into that.
look, I think they wiped. I don't know. At this point, the season's lost. Like I genuinely, it's
At the
crazy
moment,
to say that 4 weeks into the year, but you're gonna end up firing your coach. What is an interim head coach gonna do for you other than maybe give you the opportunity, maybe give Justin Fields the opportunity to prove that he's worthy of picking up that fifth year option
I hope
and not
so.
going with Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
But and we can get into I have another topic in one of our later segments. We'll bring up Justin Fields again, but we can move on
definitely.
for the time being. Let's talk a little bit about Cincinnati, man. Where are we at on the panic button? 1-3 start. Lost to they beat the Saints, I believe, or somebody really bad. Or not really bad, but
That's
the
really
Rams, the
Rams.
Rams,
They
the
got
Rams.
that win on Monday night, but that's really been it.
But then this has been the worst. 24-3 in week one against the Browns. Burrow was hurt in the rain. We all kind of just brushed it off, right? Then they
Mm.
came back 27-24 against the Ravens, who looked really good. And I was like, okay, close game, divisional rival, lost it by a few. Came back 1-2, win a grinder on Monday night against the Rams, and then they show up against the Titans and lose 27-3. Okay,
Yeah.
Joe Burrow had 165 passing yards. Joe Mixon had 60 rushing yards. That's it. That's their offense, man. They barely had 200. They didn't even have 250 yards of offense. They had 220, 230.
Mm.
I don't. And here's the thing with that offense is I feel like I'm still supremely confident they're going to find themselves like they always do. I'm more concerned about the defense, man. Who
Fair
on the
enough.
Titans is worthy of giving up 27 points to? Like 40-year-old Derrick Henry? Like
Yeah.
I just like Tannehill's stat line looks like peak Tannehill with 240 yards and a touchdown. And then they've got Derrick Henry turning back the clock for 120 yards. I just like this is concerning, man. Like,
Mm.
here's the thing. Here's where I'm at on the panic button meter, as we always say. My hand is hovering above that button. Fingers may even be touching that button. And if this game against the Cardinals this week does not look anything like it should, then I am
Yeah.
slamming that button down on the 1-4 start and saying it's panic time. Like the season might be over because they have one of the hardest remaining schedules in the NFL. They have one of the hardest remaining schedules. They go Cardinals, just like Cardinals this week, which, like I said, a lot riding. Then they go Seahawks, 49ers, Bills, Texans, who are better than expected. They play the Ravens again. The Steelers is a tough win. The Jaguars, the Colts seem to be a tough win. Vikings is probably a win. Steelers again, a tough win. And they play the Chiefs and the Browns in week 17.
Yeah, man, I hate that schedule because honestly, you say Vikings as if that's going to give them a challenge. From the Bengals team we've seen so far, every team that you just listed will give them a fight. And like personally, right now, it's a coin flip for me because I feel like every week this year there's been a kind of I don't think I know football game of the week, and that was I literally looked at the score and I'm like, there's no way. Like the way the Titans have been playing, like you said, to hang 27 points and then the Bengals to just go mute on offense again.
It's not, here's the thing. It's not just the Bengals offense. The Bengals defense is
Right.
playing below average. The Bengals offensive line might be the 32nd ranked unit in the league right now, which is they've had the problem ever since they got Joe Burrow. And I feel like last year they really picked it up on the back half of the year. So maybe that's going to happen again. And by picking it up, I mean just the offensive line. Maybe that's going to happen again. Maybe they're going to run the Cardinals out of town this week and just continue to ride that momentum like we see this team do every year.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. I'm a little. This is different. This is different than them starting 0-2 last year. Like the 27-3.
1-3 feels this 1-3 specifically when you list off their schedule and what has just previously happened. I think it's concerning. Like the hovering over the panic button is probably as accurate and appropriate as reaction I could make to the situation.
It's like when you're playing Call of Duty and you're sitting next, like you got your sights down the wall,
and
you're just ready for that guy to turn the corner, and then that's where my hand's at right now in the panic.
Are they gonna do it?
Are they? You're prone and everything because you know it'll take them longer to see you. And let me ask you this: let's say they miss the playoffs this year. They win 5, 6, 7, 8 games, miss the playoffs. Where are you at on Zach Taylor and his tenure in Cincinnati?
I'll tell you this: I'm not really at Zach Taylor as much as I'm at their GM. I'm gonna tell you why. This is a great callback for you. Remember, people know. I've always been in the party. I love Jamar Chase.
I disagree.
Joe Burrow. I think it's a great pick. But when you look at Penei Sewell and what he could have, they have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and we know what Joe Burrow is. I would be at least intrigued to see how these first 4 games would have gone with Penei Sewell and as absent as Joe Burrow and the Jamar Chase connection has been. I understand that.
Whoa. I would pump the brakes on the absence of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I can pull up Chase's numbers, but outside of week 1, he's been fairly solid.
And I'm not saying like in the sense of like what the tandem, like we know what that tandem can do. It's on the level of Kirk and Justin Jefferson. It's elite. It's up there. But the more like, especially Philly, and we may dive into some part of the QB sneak thing because I think it's very interesting, the whole debate of like it's a play that shouldn't work, but no other team can do it besides Philly, like successfully. Teams have been trying to do the whole like tush push, like QB sneak, and it's
if they make that illegal, that's the stupidest thing.
It's the stupidest thing ever, for sure.
It's obvious, like that the only, and this is a small tangent, but and I've been waiting for this to come up for weeks because I've had the same takes.
Mhm.
The only team that can do it every time so successfully is Philly because they have a Hall of Fame center and a quarterback who can squat 600 pounds. Everybody else who tries to
Thank
do it
you.
can't do it. They
Thank
fail.
you. Yep.
Like that,
Like
like
it's
if
personnel.
one team is just good at it, then we don't make it illegal. That's just like if I was a
Yeah.
Philly fan and they made it illegal, I'd be rightfully ticked.
And that's very fair. And that's the reason I bring that up is just because I think some coaches, I'm really seeing this year for sure the importance of a coaching and player relationship in the scheme of what they're trying to accomplish in the scheme. And Philly knows what they will run it down your throat until it doesn't work. And then like, well, we got AJ Brown, Dallas Goddard. Jalen Hurts can still run. We don't expect him to. So they know what they're doing. But there's teams you can just see like the Bears, and there's like I don't really know teams like maybe the Broncos are just lost offensively. Um, but in terms of just like I can't
I think I know what you're trying to say.
yeah, you
So
can't put the whole yeah, you're gonna have to help me out here.
So you're placing the blame on the GM for picking Jamar Chase, which I actually I would go on the other side. I think that Jamar
Roster
Chase.
construction.
Okay, that's fair.
Because you bring up
That's
the
fair.
defense, and I feel like they don't touch that ever. You could
So
correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah,
it's I mean they've been middle of the pack. They were really good the year they went to the Super Bowl. They elevated really late in the year, and then last year when they went on the run to the AFC Championship, they elevated late. The whole team in general doesn't start playing football until week 8 or 9.
that's
But
so true.
I will say this about my feelings towards Zach Taylor, and I think what you're getting at is similar to how I feel about Zach Taylor. I think I brought this up last year. I think that Zach Taylor's play calling is extremely bland. Like, I don't know how else to say that, but when you look at the comparison to, say, the route diversity that Justin Jefferson runs,
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell.
or the motion that Mike McDaniel does with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and the creativity, the Bengals have the lowest offensive pre-snap motion percentage in the NFL.
That's a great stat. I
They have
didn't.
the lowest pre-snap motion. Jamar Chase's route charts, he lines up as the X or the Z receiver on the outside and gets open. That's it. It's so bland. And I've had this beef with Zach Taylor for a long time, but I can't really say it because they've been winning and they've been good.
Right.
And that's been Joe Burrow. And that's why I hold him so high, is because I feel like most people look at him and he's kind of in this weird teeter spot of like 3 to 5. And I always put him like 3 because I think he elevates that offense above the play call. And
Absolutely.
now that he is hindered and his ability to make plays, be mobile, he's a mobile guy in the pocket. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he'll extend plays. They'll be explosive off of his extensions. He's a pocket passer, but he's not Peyton Manning is what I'm trying to say. And now they've had this hindered calf. Their offense has just gone to crap because they can't scheme anybody open because he can't move. I just feel like the majority of their explosives, and they've been so explosive in the past, has been off of his playmaking ability back there. And now that is hindered, along with a decrease in, just a fall off in O-line play from the end of last year, this is why we see them struggling.
Sorry, you were talking, and immediately I thought of this sounds so familiar to the tone of Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers as fans. From the perspective is we're like, we have one of the greatest quarterbacks definitely in the league at this moment of when Rodgers in his prime and probably ever, and we're just not getting the correct utilization. And that's why his job was called for and we got LaFleur. But it'd be nice if the Bengals would, I hate to say it, but if the way the season is going, you just axe Taylor and the GM. And you have a GM that's going to go in there and be motivated to build a team and is going to bring in somebody that will utilize. That is a ridiculous stat that they have the lowest pre-snap motion. Jamar Chase is at least top 5 in terms of receivers in the NFL. And you're not, I would motion that guy half the game personally, especially seeing Tyreek Hill and the way Justin Jefferson are used. Personally, that's how they should be used. We'll see, man. But
it's just a very like early 2000s, late 1990s, like Mike Holmgren style West Coast. Like it worked, and it does work with the right quarterback and high level play.
Mhm.
but it's a little bit outdated now that we're approaching the year, like we're getting into the 2020s. Like it's just
Yeah.
becoming a little bit outdated style of offense of just line up and spread 2 by 2 or 3 by 1, and your guys, you make your receivers win and throw from the pocket. Like we're just in an era where that is not enough. And we could talk defensively. The GM, I wouldn't call for the GM's head, and I don't even know if I'm calling for Zach Taylor's head. I am calling for there to be a new play caller,
I'm
a
calling.
new offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hard
fair.
to call for a GM's head when you've been to back-to-back AFC championships. Like it's
It,
kind of, and it's hard to call for Zach Taylor's head too. It's the same thing we talk about with the Bears, and that's why I'm saying like I have this beef. I don't know it's fireable if they miss the playoffs this year because they've been so good, and
mhm,
it could probably get written off as they got behind the 8 ball because Burrow's calf injury in training camp, which is a lame excuse. But
it
um,
happened. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I just want to get on the record that I really hate Zach Taylor's play call. Like that's the bottom line.
That's fair enough, and that's even when you say new OC. Like, do you think he would like seed play calling? You know what I'm saying? In the sense
If
of
that,
like,
like that's what I'm
take that
saying he
step
would need to
back.
do. Like if that,
Because
like
that's
that's
how
what I
Mike
think is what's holding him.
McCarthy's still a coach. I think that's why he's still his job, was because he seeded Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore went to the Chargers this year, but you see already that their offense is winning him games. Um, Taking that step back sometimes is the best way to take a step forward. I
And to
understand.
be fair, the McCarthy thing, like the Packers went to what, like 4 or 5 NFC championships
He
under
was
him
very
and
good. I'm
and
not trying
won
to.
a Super Bowl. It was when we got to the end, it was like, okay, this is
It clearly wasn't
unoriginal and
working.
not working. When he
Yeah.
came on the scene, it was legit. And Rodgers won how many MVPs under him? Like
Yep.
it was definitely like Zach Taylor's on that pace, arguably. Like you could say he's on that pace to a Super Bowl appearance
Similar
and an
career. Yeah.
AFC championship, and but I don't think he's at that point yet. Even if they miss the playoffs this year, I don't think he's at that point yet where McCarthy was.
Definitely. No, that's it's a really. It reminds me of even Sean Payton this year. It'd be like if you hired Bill Cowher in 2011. Like great coaches, everyone in the media especially is going to think it's going to do well. I bought into it a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's Russ and old school, but I'm seeing a 2013 Drew Brees offense that is just not prime for 2023. Like it
Coaches,
sucks, but
and
is
I think that what I've learned the more I've begun to follow this league is that coaches have eras even more so than like players do. Like there is a time being in the right place at the right time as a coach really matters, especially when you talk about schematically. And that's why guys like Bill Belichick have my utmost respect because he's been dominating. He's been a top 10 league defense for like 30 years, going back to his time with Bill Parcells. Like
yeah,
it's and Andy Reid, perfect example, has the like he's timeless. He's willing to innovate. And now we have this new era of McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur, McDaniel, whatever of coaches that are innovating offensively, and the era of Breeze, Brady, and Manning are kind of getting left behind of
yeah.
pocket passers just shredding defenses. Personally, I liked watching that era a little bit more than this era. That's a different conversation, but
Growing up, yeah,
yeah, all that to say, man, panic button hovering.
absolutely.
A long-winded
You're on the
way of,
trigger for
yeah,
sure.
a long-winded way of saying that. Let's move on. Bills Dolphins. Interesting. The Dolphins coming off the historic performance from
Yeah,
this week. What are your reactions here? Bills almost hang 50 on.
right. I don't honestly have a whole lot to say in this aspect of. I probably thought the Dolphins were going to win, sure, but this wasn't like a as shocking as the scoreboard says, 48-20. You're like, geez, but the way the Bills are, like, Josh Allen will just have these games, and like defensively, if they just do what they did, like 20 points is still solid. You know what I mean? Like that's still a solid showing. It's not what you expect from the Dolphins, but 48. I mean, on the Dolphins who don't that it's our question mark is defensively for this team.
Yeah.
It's not their strength. They're going to be in the bottom half, not the top half defensively. So it wasn't crazy shocking. And I think they were probably riding that high a little bit of being 70, like you 70 points on the Broncos. They probably did not take this week as seriously as they probably should have. just from glance at the box score. That's just my view on it.
So this game, I did get a chance to watch a little more in depth, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like the Dolphins, this was my concern preseason was defensively, and
Yep.
obviously, like Jalen Ramsey's not on the field right now, and that does make a difference. But I think the bottom line with this game is it comes down to is if Josh Allen is going to play like this. And this has been the problem with the Bills and why they can't get over the hump. It's because he doesn't play like this every week. But
No.
dude, 21 of 25, 320 and 4 touchdowns. What on how do you stop that? And he had a rushing touchdown, team rush for around 100 yards. I don't want to do the math, man, but look, man, this is I had the Bills winning this game. It was good to see the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen outside of week one, he's been immaculate. He's got I don't even know how many, I can pull up his numbers. But he had 3 picks in week one. Since then, did he throw a touchdown in week one? I don't even know.
I'm not sure, but he's been like kind of the MVP front runner since week one.
Yeah, he's got 1,000 yards passing. He's got 9 touchdowns, four total interceptions, 3 of which were in week one.
In week one, yeah.
106 passer rating. I don't even have his rushing stats here, but he's been the MVP front runner since then. He's been rock solid. The turnover question marks that were flying on Twitter have been completely answered, and it's just, yeah. This is if the Bills are going to be like this, there's not a team that should beat them in the AFC outside of Kansas City.
I gotta agree with that. Even from what we've seen Kansas City this year, I mean, right now it's the Bills to lose again. But we said that last year, and Kansas City still ended up in the Super Bowl. So time will tell. But yeah, this was another masterclass from the Bills. I'm just gotta tip my hat, and not a whole lot to say, man.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. This is a game I'm a little bit excited to talk about because I'm ready to buy in, and we'll get to it. Okay. Texans Steelers. CJ Stroud is 4th in passing, like the 4th best passer in the league, I would say, across all statistics. Obviously, that's a little bit subjective, but I think he's got 3rd in yards and touchdowns. He's high up there, and he's not turning the ball over.
No.
Dude, he's legit. And the Texan defense, out of nowhere, is like not 32nd in the league like I expected.
That honestly is DeMeco Ryans. That is totally, to me, DC and San Fran. I mean, they always have a good defense, but being heart of that team defensively in Houston when he was a player, that was not shocking. I just want to go on the record because I know it's going to come. Like, I was wrong about CJ Stroud. I know we're on 4 games into his career, but I was so out on him as a prospect after hearing the IQ score and then going to the Texans, who I thought were going to be terrible this year. It's like, yeah, this guy, he's done, and he might be the best out of the class. Right now, it's between him and Anthony Richardson, I think, early.
Obviously, time will tell, but
you said you wanted to buy in. I mean, are you looking?
Yeah, we will
today.
We will be when we get there. We'll be purchasing some CJ Stroud stock. We will get there. And there's somebody else I'm not. Wish I had a more acquisition, but I don't want to do both the same team. But Nico Collins, the rise of Nico Collins this year is kind of crazy to me. And watching the film, it's not just like he's being schemed open. He's like winning routes and lining up as the X receiver and being asked to like win one-on-ones. And he's consistently doing it. Okay. Week 1, 6 of 11 for 80 yards. Week 2, 6 catches, 80 yards. Week 2, 7 catches, 146 and a touchdown. Week 3, Jacksonville game, 2 for 34. Bounces back this week, 7 for 168 and 2 touchdowns. I think he's emerging as a wide receiver 1. And as this team continues to develop, they've got other weapons, Dameon Pierce, Tank Dell. This has been an insane 1-year turnaround for this offense, just all from CJ Stroud. Like that's like where it all stems from him. He's elevating everybody around him. And Nico Collins, I think that come by the year, we might be talking about him as a top 12, top 10 receiver, just based off of the year he's having right now. If he stays on his pace, he's the number 1 option, in my opinion, A lot of fantasy guys make the debate for Tank Dell. I think Nico Collins is the number one option on this team that will continue to show over time, and I think that he's going to have an incredible year. And he's going to be, come next year, the Stroud Collins duo is going to be pretty high up on the duo list.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I know you're high on the Steelers this year too, which we haven't had a chance to chat about that.
I was until I forgot they don't have an OC. I thought, I don't know, man. I guess maybe I read too much into the preseason football, just like, oh, they're opening up their play calling a bit. But it's like Matt Canada has to be the most like There's bland play calling, and then there's conservative. And I think he found the worst way of blending the two to the point where I genuinely can't watch like Najee Harris is so like I mean even in terms of like his vision is kind of suspect, but like he does not. They use him like he's James White, dude. They'll throw like bubble screens and stuff to him, and it's like he's a power Alabama running back. Use him like Derrick Henry, and then use Jalen Warren, which they are getting touches too and whatnot. But it's like again with the bubble screens, like you have George Pickens, you have Pat Freiermuth, who's been good. I know he's hurt, but then they just drafted Darnell Washington, who's a 6'7" tight end. You can stretch the field if you want to. They're just not allowing Kenny Pickett to do it. And if that's going to be the case, I can already hop off this team. I'm glad I didn't put any stock into them because holy cow, man.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like they could stretch the field if they want to, and they're getting Deontay Johnson back, who's a good underneath kind of guy.
Yeah.
And you got George Pickens. They could stretch the field, and they don't. And it's just one of those things where it's like, why are you handicapping your quarterback so much? You talk about Justin Fields being held back. I would agree. I put Kenny Pickett in that same category. Kenny Pickett, I don't even think he looks that bad, man. Like, I don't think the Steelers fans are calling for his head. Like, I don't think that's the issue here.
Right. Your offense
is Matt Canada.
Yeah.
It's Matt Canada, who apparently, by the way, was exposed for having a Twitter burner.
Which doesn't shock me. That's the biggest problem with these dudes is they care too much about their appearance. You know what I'm saying? Like they get a rookie quarterback or a younger quarterback. Well, I'm going to look bad if they make a bunch of mistakes. No, you look bad because you're not letting them make the mistakes. Like you're not letting them play to their best of their ability. And that's why everybody's calling you out. But he's too egotistical. Oh, I got to protect him. McDaniels is Josh McDaniels.
He's not a rookie anymore, too. I get it when you're a rookie. You want to hold back the offense, be conservative, make it easy. Dude, it's year 2. You had a whole offseason with this guy. You had a whole offseason, OTAs, everything. Like this is when he should be taking the leaps forward, stretching the field. And I just like, I don't see the vision with Matt Canada.
Oh no, there is no vision.
Mike Tomlin will find a way to scrap together a winning season probably. And I've even seen Steelers Twitter now start to basically call for Mike Tomlin's head, which I think is absurd. Yeah, absurd. But
that guy's timeless. He's and that's actually where I would actually give more flowers to CJ Stroud in the sense that Mike Tomlin usually has his way with younger quarterbacks. Like they will get their 9 wins because a couple of those games are just against younger quarterbacks or teams with slower offenses. And CJ Stroud did not take the bait. I mean, this guy's been really good.
He's been rock solid. And we'll get into buy, sell, hold here really quickly. But finally, I want to touch on Sunday Night Football. Somehow we found ourselves in a world where I actually believe that Zach Wilson is one of the more liked quarterbacks, and people are genuinely rooting for this guy. I found myself here basically week 1 when Rodgers went down and he got another chance. I was like, you know what, man? Good for him. Like he gets a chance. Let's see what he can do with it. Couple slow weeks. It is what it is. And then the love on Twitter that I saw for this man after this Sunday Night Football performance really solidified my belief in the change of public opinion about him. And he has grown, mature. You know, you've seen the comparisons after his post game this week was, it's on me. We needed more. And then they rewound to his rookie year where he was like, no, it's the defense's fault. And he said that like in a press conference, like the maturity is there. He's grown. And you know what? If this is the Zach Wilson that Nathaniel Hackett is going to unleash, and he's going to actually open up the playbook for him and not hold him back,
Yep.
I think the Jets they got a chance, man. They gotta if they're gonna play the Chiefs close of all teams to do this against, then yeah, I think that there is a little bit of hope here, and I see the vision that Robert Saleh has been saying to a wall because nobody's been listening about Zach Wilson's our guy. Zach Wilson, we're not going to sign anybody else. Zach Wilson's our guy. I see the vision. If this is the vision, I see it now.
Actually, I'm gonna 100% agree with everything you said. It feels like with Zach Wilson was doing all the right things where I saw, Hard Knocks, and that was really, I think, key to me is getting that little inside scoop of like Aaron Rodgers was like not just taking him under his wing, like it was like a Yoda Luke Skywalker type deal. Like any questions Zach Wilson had, Aaron Rodgers was giving him an answer and pointing things out. And I think honestly, just there was a clip in maybe it was the second or third episode, but Zach Wilson is like, and Rodgers is right next to him, probably give him that confidence. He's like, "We're gonna have fun today, guys. Like football is fun. Like we gotta remember foot like." But it was more him talking to himself in the sense of like, stop worrying about the New York media. Stop worrying about everybody that's gonna hate on you. Because at the end of the day, even when you're good, people are still gonna hate on you. Tom Brady, Jerry, like people are going to take shots. So you can't focus on that. And if he really buys into the Nathaniel Hackett's offense, as many criticisms came his way last year, Rodgers likes him for a reason. He's smart. He's innovative. My issues have been early in the season. It's like he's missing Garrett Wilson. He's missing that easy throw. He doesn't look good. But if his confidence is there, he has the arm talent to make every single throw. That's
So I
why
think
him so high.
here's what I have to say about Nathaniel Hackett, and just the difference that was just noticeable if you're watching the broadcast. You even have to break down the
Yep.
film. They were throwing the ball. I mean, you can go. Let me pull up Zach Wilson's like pass attempts from this year. Obviously, week one, like he's going to be, thrown into the. That's just horrible.
Yeah,
Your game plan
totally
gets completely
expected.
changed. But recent games for Zach Wilson. Okay, week one, 21 pass attempts, 14 of 21. Week two, obviously, I'm going to excuse that from Hackett's standpoint. Week two, 12 of 27. And we see a jump in week three, 18 of 36. And then we get to week four, 28 of 39 in prime time. It's his best game looking at Zach Wilson's numbers by far. He threw those 3 picks against Dallas in week two. Hasn't thrown an interception since. He's thrown 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. Look, they're 1-3. They stole. They're lucky they're not freaking 0-4. Oh my gosh, are they lucky? I can't believe Buffalo lost that game. But I think I just see the vision. If we're going to open up the playbook, we're going to throw it 35, 40 times with this guy. We're going to scheme Garrett Wilson open. We're going to, and that's going to open up the run game. I think that they thought immediately after he went down that they could just, we got Dalvin Cook and we got Breece Hall. Like, we're just going to grind it out. And then teams immediately responded and said, I dare you to have Zach Wilson beat us. And that's what the Chiefs did. I dare you to have Zach Wilson beat us. And he almost did.
Yeah.
So if he can turn into somewhere in this, Kirk Cousins, Tannehill, Carr style quarterback, and then pair that with the Jets defense, Jets run game, and the Jets weapons, as well as Aaron Rodgers as your mentor, because even through 4 games, I can just see mannerisms Zach Wilson's doing on certain fakes and stuff where it's like, man, that looks like Rodgers. And I know that's so subjective, but I see the vision. I really do. And I'm interested to see where they go from here. I really am. I think they're going to get a win this week against the Broncos because their Broncos are on my no pick list. But I think that he's got the Chiefs are, here's what I'm trying to say. The Chiefs are a really great defense. Right now, they've been playing really good. I was playing the freaking Broncos, who just gave up 70, and then they gave up 28 to Justin Fields and the Bears. And, my mom has the OC. So I got the Jets winning this week, getting a little ahead of ourselves. But you have anything else to add?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head, man. Zach Wilson might be back.
And you love to see it, man. That's the thing, is he used to be so hated, and now it's like
Yeah,
everybody loves to see it. Like it's
you
such a
love
change
those
in public,
stories, man.
such a
When
change in public opinion. Um,
yeah, no, definitely.
let's move to buy, sell, hold, and I'll take the floor first because I already kind of gave away one of the things I wanted to do. But um, three confidence CJ Stroud. I'm just buying
Mm,
stock in the player.
yeah.
I've kind of already given the case, but he just looks so composed, so solid. They're doing everything right. He's spreading the ball around, and more importantly, they're winning games, and they just won handedly. But he's just composed in the big moments, and he doesn't look like a rookie. That's the part that's crazy to me. He doesn't look like a rookie. He's top 5 in passing yards, and I think touchdowns too. So, and he's really low on the interceptions list. I'd have to double check, but yeah,
Okay. Okay. This is especially with the success of Puka Nakua, or how do you say his last name?
Puka Nakua.
Nakua. Yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there. He he's a guy that I think is not going to be forgotten because I mean it's Cooper Cup, right? Like this guy almost
This
had
is
a
a
record season.
perfect time to buy, man.
This is a perfect time to buy. I was looking at this one on my IR spot fantasy. I mean, this is a guy that it's really more for me about Stafford. I'm going to put a 3 confidence in Cooper Cup in. The reason it's not really anything lower is I'm very confident in his abilities and the way the stock is right now. I think he's only going to improve it. But Matthew Stafford is like a makes the wide receiver one, whoever that is, like a
A superstar.
literally like complete like I looked. It was back, and we always talk about Kenny Galladay how bad that contract was, but he got the contract for a reason. And Marvin
That's a
Jones has
good
got
point.
multiple contracts. Like he went to the Jags as wide receiver one because of Matthew Stafford. Calvin Johnson and Cooper Cup have the best seasons in wide receiver history, and they were quarterbacked by Matthew Stafford. So like I could probably keep digging and find more, but it's just that history of like he loves to force feed the wide receiver one. I mean, it's history. The guy's back in what I've seen this year, and I'm putting all my confidence in Cooper Cup, man.
So is this a? I'm assuming this is not a long term trade here. This is a medium short term trade. You're looking to sell within the season.
I think I might just, in terms of like long term, like the idea of because coming back from injury and even seeing Keenan Allen's doing after being kind of injury riddled for a lot coming back, I'm pretty confident in Cooper Cup establishing himself back in that top 5 conversation for like the next couple of years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like top 5 players of like receiver, like people do not think of his name. It's like Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson. Like you think of everybody else but him, and I think he's going to firmly reestablish his spot.
I like the vision. I like the vision.
Like one's
Um,
cool, man.
but I do want to clarify, like, for my CJ Stroud acquisition, that is a long term hold. We're supposed to like give our strategy, our trade
Yeah, like
strategy,
the
not make the
idea, but
purchase.
yeah, I'll go along
Um,
with that for sure.
yeah, I'm okay. So like CJ Stroud, I'm holding long term 3 confidence. Like, I've got Anthony Richardson stock and Jordan Love stock. Those are kind of long term trades. And then like last week when I bought Sam Howell, that was kind of a short term thing. I'm still, by the way, holding this week. Um,
Yeah.
so here's my next purchase. We're doing 2 acquisitions a week for now, but here's my next purchase. Um, this is a hot take. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think that by next fall, or fall camp next year, Justin Fields will be an Atlanta Falcon.
It's a
I
great.
wouldn't be shocked. I wanted to say by the end of this regular season, but I decided to just pump the brakes a little bit on the you know insanely hot take, and I gave myself till next fall. But I think Justin Fields, I think it's the perfect fit, man. Like he had success. Arthur Smith had success with Marcus Mariota. Ritter, I'm fully out on at this point. We haven't had a chance to talk about it, but I'm fully out on Ritter at this point. I just don't see the vision as a pro quarterback. I think he's probably 32 right now, including Zach Wilson.
Right.
And Fields, you get him with an Arthur Smith, man, who knows how to dial up QB runs, who knows how to just kind of scheme guys open and not, force feed. I think Fields could be the guy that finally elevates the weapons that they've put in that offense to where we think they all should be. People look at Kyle Pitts and Drake London, they're like, why don't they get the ball more? That's because they have Desmond Ritter throwing the ball. and they're handicapped. I think Fields would be able to take Arthur Smith's quarterback handicap off of that offense.
Okay. No,
So
that's a. I'm glad you bring up the Falcons because I'm going for the future today, and actually my second guy on the list because his stock is extremely low with Bijan Robinson and the way Ritter's been playing, and Jonu Smith leading the team in receiving yards. I'm putting a three again stock confidence in Kyle Pitts.
oh
Confirmed.
no.
I am going to take this bait for the reason of Taylor Goat Key, aka Taylor Heineke. This man got the Washington football team to the playoffs against Tom Brady. Okay. He eventually is going to take over. I just think it's a matter of time. I don't know if it's necessarily Ritter's fault entirely, just given I think Arthur Smith makes it difficult to get into the rhythm as a passer in his offense. But nonetheless, I mean, he made a quarterback change last year, going from Mariota to Ritter. Would not be shocked if division's still competitive. They want to try and win some games. And if Taylor Heineke comes in, I mean, he made Logan Thomas, who's a quarterback when he came in from Virginia Tech, into, I mean, he's an established tight end in Washington now. And you can't tell me that it's Ron Rivera's doing. I mean, Panthers, once they got rid of Greg Olsen, did not have any good tight ends. So I'm going to give Kyle Pitts a lot. Now, this might be something I sell in the next couple of weeks.
Well,
Let's be honest
here's what I wrote.
I
Man. I
might
wrote
be selling.
Kyle Pitts and then notes priced at a discount and banking on the fact that Ritter gets benched.
Pretty much. Like I'm foreseeing like what the Falcons could end up doing, and hey, if it doesn't go that way, he might be an early sell candidate.
I do want to say I put 2 confidence on the Fields as a Falcon next year take. So not fully all in on it, but
You think it's going that way?
it's a hot take, and I won't be shocked. I want to get it on record, man. Don't know how I'll trade this because it's kind of just like a do or die. Like if it happens, it happens. But just want to get it on the floor. That's going to take us to our quarter season awards. So quarter of the way through the season, buy, sell, hold is finished. We're moving on. We're going to do MVP, Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defense, and then Offensive and Defensive Rookie Player of the Year. And I'll give you the floor first. Who's your quarter season through the first quarter of the season MVP?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna go with Josh Allen. I mean, it's really hard to argue with it's quarterback award in terms of quarterbacks playing the best right now. It's him. The guys we're really thinking of. Burrow's had a tough year. Mahomes is kind of bleh. Gonna go with Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was my second choice. I actually think I've got Lamar through 4 games. They're 3-1. He's got 4 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, just 1 turnover, and just 1 interception. And they look good. They're playing Ravens football, and that's why his passing yards aren't off the wall. His rushing yards are. He's like already has 300 rushing yards or something, which is for a quarterback is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I just like he looks like 2019 MVP Lamar Jackson. Like they're winning games because he's controlling the game. And this was a hard one. Like I don't think that there's a clear front runner for MVP right now. I think that Josh Allen's probably the favorite.
Right.
And then I think I would give my MVP to Lamar just because of Josh Allen's really poor week 1 performance. That was kind of the deal breaker for me. Coach of the Year, my pick's not going to surprise you. I've got Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I'll admit that. Yeah, expect this after the 70 ball. I understand what happened on Sunday, but he's ahead of the pack. Yeah. He really is. I don't know did you see Kyle Brandt's whole like rant on Good Morning Football?
I did. I thought it was the word. I forget what did he say.
That was clickbait to me. He was like they're not ahead of it. Like just kind of. I mean, it was like picked.
Oh, he was talking about the motion. He was talking about the motion. He was like, "This is not innovative. Everybody talks like this is going to change football forever."
It is.
And I was like, "Dude, what is like?"
Yeah,
it just felt like it was one of those things last year. I think it was Emmanuel Cho, like just waiting for the moment that Tua like slips up and then just hammers clickbait takes. And that's what it felt like was like, okay, the Dolphins are getting a lot of media attention after winning 70 games, getting a lot of praise. oh no, they scored 20 against the Bills and gave up 50. Let me blame the offense.
Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense.
What? Like,
Yeah,
you know, look, man, what's Mike McDaniel's record through 2 years with Tua? Like, it's pretty freaking good.
pretty
Like,
good. It's pretty good. Only
it's pretty
getting
good.
better, we may add. Like
Yeah.
offensively, they just keep going up. So no.
Who's your offensive player of the year?
Ooh, see, that one's gonna go to McCaffrey.
Oh,
Um,
we're on the same page again.
yeah, I could see it going to a receiver in the end, but I mean, we're talking quarter season, so we might end up on some similarities in the sense that through the first 4 weeks, he's had a bad game. I mean, I could be wrong, but like
No, you're right.
he's having an LT esque
He's
start.
got he's got 460 rushing yards, and the second guy has 360.
Yeah, he's just different animal.
Not to mention everything he does receiving. Like he's just got a 100-yard gap through 4 games. That's insane. Like, and
Different
that
animal.
trade, man, that trade is going to get looked back on. If Purdy, if they're able to win a Super Bowl on a 7th round rookie's contract, like
Oh yeah.
that's going to be one of the greatest deals probably ever.
Mm-hmm.
This one was hard. Defensive player of the year. I ended up going with TJ Watt simply because he like won them that Browns game. Like,
Yeah.
and he's in the like I think he's tied for the most sacks. Nobody's really stood out like crazy. You look at the sack leaders, you see Khalil Mack has 6, but that's all in one game. Like,
Game. Yeah.
you look at the interception leaders like Jordan Whitehead, also all one game. Jesse Bates had 3 or 4, all one game. Like it was just like nobody's been great every game so far this year. TJ Watt's probably there. My Myles Garrett pick for the preseason, he's a half sack back of the leader, so I'm not even like sweating that. I feel good about that.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I'll clarify because I know we had like our like season picks in terms of like who we think's going to get it. And I will, for me at least, I'm not going to say my quarter season is like going back on it. I'm just saying
No, this is just like,
right now, yeah, the
yeah.
4 game sample size. If I do vote as a personality, whatever, defense player of the year, I would say Mike Parsons just because of the fact that he's in that same category as you said of Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, where they're a game wrecker. And I just think the Cowboys, with their media attention, the way they've had like 2 really stellar defensive performances against the Giants and Patriots, I think Mike Parsons would probably just get the most votes. But
Yeah.
I'm totally in the vein of like TJ Watt could get it. It's, I think, going to be a 3-man race between those 3 personally. I don't know if there's going to be a DB. I think I said Sauce Gardner making that step.
He's
And
kind of regressed this year. Like I've been unimpressed.
I've not been, in terms of what I thought would happen. It's not going that way. It's going the other way for sure.
Who's your offensive rookie of the year?
Rookie of the year, I will give. I love Puka. I love him. He's so like I could give it to him, but we brought him up earlier, and it's got to be C.J. Stroud for just from my where I thought the Texans were going to be. I did not think they were going to be competitive. I don't think anybody thought.
Yeah.
They still screamed to me a couple win team, and they're making things.
They already have a couple wins.
Yeah, like I mean, C.J. Stroud. Yeah, I'm going to give him that though for
I've
sure.
got C.J. Stroud written down as number 1 and Puka Nacua written down as number 2. Puka Nacua, by the way, has 500 yards receiving through 4 games. He's halfway to 1,000. Shattering records for receptions in games, the most through your first 2 ever, most through your first 3 ever.
Yeah.
But I'm going CJ Stroud just because of quarterback favoritism and Cooper Kupp's inimminent return.
Right.
However, if the season ended today, I'd probably lean towards Puka just because what he's the record breaking. Like that means a lot to me. I mean, dude, he's halfway to 1,000 yards. Like what the heck? Defensive rookie of the year. This was probably the hardest one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I settled on Jalen Carter. Honorable mention for Brian Branch, who I think's been solid, but he is banged up after that Packers game. But Jalen Carter has just been like the best value. Will Anderson's been pretty solid too. Nobody's really like elevated like Sauce did last year, where it's like, oh yeah. Obviously, it's only quarter way through the season, but Jalen Carter, I think he, especially as the 9th overall pick, I think he was like he's such a steal for the Eagles.
Oh yeah,
and he's a beast, man.
Oh, who, by the way, I thought, I mean, there was a case before his whole, he had some situation. I don't even remember what it was, which is why it seems so silly, like in hindsight. But it was like, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it was
I
like a
think he
youth.
still has a pending trial for
Yeah,
this
maybe
situation.
I mean, I should be, speaking a little too soon on it. But I mean, he was projected if the Bears kept the pick. Some people were saying it was him or Will Anderson at 1, and the Eagles
Yeah,
just got him at 9. So the defensive rookie of the year thing does not surprise me.
a Bo Callahan moment there.
Yeah, really, it's such a good movie, man. Oh my gosh, Kevin Costner. But yeah, Jalen Carter. Like I could mimic that pick. I'm gonna stick with Brian Branch though. Like I picked him, and he's actually lived up to the bill. He's actually doing what I thought he'd do through 4 weeks. So hoping he just keeps rolling, man.
Yeah,
I hope he stay banged up. That's for sure.
yeah, he's been solid. Scored that touchdown in week 1, and I think he's probably the best DB option for either defensive player of the year or defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
That's going to take us to our week 5 predictions. Always fun. Let's do a quick recap of where we're at. Hey, last week I went 9-7. You went 7-9. Jake, 12-4. He's not here today with
Oh
us, but
my god.
12-4 performance from
Look at
Jake.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
texted his picks in, so he didn't even get them on the record. Um, that brings us. Let me go back to the main page for the year. I am 39-25. You are 35-29. Total, I've taken a 3-game lead in our career totals. We'll see if
Jeez.
that lasts. And then Jake's total numbers on the year are a little skewed. I don't have them quite yet. We'll have those for you next week, but because I don't think
Definitely.
he didn't do week 1 or week 2, but he joined in week 3 to send in picks. So um, that
All right.
takes us to week 5 tonight. Bears, Commanders. I already said who I was picking. Bears, never going to pick them until I'm proven
Right.
otherwise.
Rolling with the Tommies.
All right.
Roll with the
Rolling
com.
with the commies. Takes us to Sunday in London. Back to back London games for Jacksonville. We got Jaguars and the Bills. Who do you got?
Oh man. I might regret this, but I gotta make up some ground. And because they've been in London, I'm gonna take the Jags.
Thank you for making that easier for me. I'm taking the Bills.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue with Josh Allen the way he's playing right now.
Look, I love the Jaguars. I think there is an advantage to the fact that they've been in London. That was the reason I thought about picking them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, and 49ers are kind of at the point where I really don't think I'm ever picking against them.
It's hard.
And
It really is.
yeah, um, Saints in New England.
The Patriots kind of need this win. I'm going to take them. If they don't get it, we could see Bailey Zappi or some other weird Belichick, Malik Cunningham, makes an appearance.
I think I agree. I picked the Patriots last week. They embarrassed me. This is kind of hand over the panic button a little bit as well, except it's
Right.
not as mainstream a team as the Bengals. Um, I'm going to pick the Patriots because it's in New England and the Saints offense has been struggling and now they're going against Belichick. But I won't be shocked if they lose this game. But I also won't be shocked if Mac Jones comes out and just lights it up because that seems to be what he's done in his career is play really bad against good teams and really, really good against bad teams. So
Very
um,
true. Very true.
classic AFC South matchup. Titans in Indianapolis. You're high on Indy. They've been pretty good. I'm gonna roll with the Titans coming off that win against the Bengals. This renaissance of Tannehill maybe being better now that he's got a number 1 option in Hopkins. We'll see as time tells. But for this week, taking the Titans.
And I'll take Colts. I actually think Shane Steichen's going to give Mike Vrabel maybe not problems, but different looks that'll keep him thinking. And defensively, I think Colts are very underrated.
I agree. This was not a I may have sounded confident in that Titans pick. I was definitely teetering on this one. So let me get
That's
that on the
fair.
record.
Division matchup, it really could go anyway.
Yeah. Ravens at Steelers. I'm taking the Ravens and not really hesitant.
Yeah, me too. As bad as that's, yeah, I can't even talk myself into it. I'm trying to, but it's like I just don't love what I'm stealing. Like the Steelers are not, they're not good right now. I gotta see
Panthers in Detroit.
Detroit. Yeah, I don't think
I'm
Carolina's
not.
first
I'm
win
not.
comes here.
I'm not thinking about it twice. Here's one I would think that I'm interested to see where you go. Houston is going to Atlanta this week. Um, I'm gonna roll with Houston. I'm kind of bought in,
That's
as
fair.
literally bought in as I can be. But I know
Yeah.
that you've got your takes on Atlanta. So
Right, and this would be a game they'll win, but like it's not in my eyes. It's gonna be close. Like it's we could still see a terrible Desmond Ritter day, and the Falcons find a way to win. Um, so I'll go with Atlanta here.
all right. We didn't talk about them, but Giants going into Miami. I'm not picking the Giants.
Big,
They went from a Super Bowl pick to possibly on my no pick list. We'll
that's fair.
probably talk about them after this week, but we're trying to diversify who we talk about a little bit. So,
Yeah,
um,
Dolphins all the way.
yeah, Bengals at Cardinals. This is we've kind of preempted this as well. I'm rolling with Cincy.
Agreed. Yeah, they will be on the no pick list if they don't get this done because
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
yeah,
1-4 because you lose
dude.
it.
This is a team that got freaking smoked by Daniel Jones, and we like
Yeah,
yeah.
Joe
Um,
Burrow needs to do something.
yeah. Eagles at Rams. Philly's kind of on my not pick, like pick to win always pick list, I guess would what we'd be calling. But
Yeah,
this did make me think because it's in LA, but LA is that a home field advantage? I don't know. And the Rams have been a surprising team
yeah.
this year.
Oh, I'm actually gonna take that bait. I'm gonna take the Rams. Just because I don't know if the Eagles go like 8-0 again this year. Like I think they'll take a loss a little bit earlier, realistically. Not saying the Eagles aren't, they're definitely a better team.
Here's the thing with the
It
Eagles for me right now, and kind of the state of where they're at is they started slow in those first 2 weeks and didn't play well and won. And then the last 2 weeks, they've looked immaculate and are winning at will. And
fair.
to me, it's like they're rolling and getting into their groove.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick against them. Like it's
I hate doing this because I'm gonna look like such a doofus next week when the Eagles win by like 2 scores. It's like, yep, not sure why I picked against them,
you know
but
what? When the Eagles finally play the Commanders, that's when I'll pick them. Or did they play them this week?
they played them this week and
Yeah,
won
when they play
five.
them again,
Maybe their luck runs
when they
out.
play them again, because the Commanders are the streak enders.
Definitely.
Jets at Broncos. I already said I was taking the Jets. See if you can let
Yeah,
Russ cook this week.
I'm so tired of doing this game with the Broncos. I haven't moved my Ross stock yet, but I'm not taking them, man. I'm taking the Jets. Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing with the Russ stock is for once, it's not like last year. Russ is actually putting up numbers
It's
and they're
that
moving around. It's like, oh,
hot take, but
sorry I didn't score 71 points, man.
yeah, like it's actually kind of moving up. So I can't complain.
I would at least say that the Russ stock is kind of choppy right now, up and down, up and down. I would not say that it's had a
From
consistent
where we were,
rise.
from where we were, it's at least here.
I'll give you like a 5%
It's
gain,
not the
maybe.
floor, but it's better than the
Maybe like a
floor.
3% gain on that stock price.
Oh man.
Chiefs at Vikings, not hesitant. Chiefs. Vikings go to 1-4. Panic sets in.
Oh, I think panic is there. It is there. I Part of me wants to take the Vikings. I think the Chiefs might just lose. Like I think because they're just bound to lose. Is it in Minnesota?
Yeah.
I'll take the Vikings then. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are definitely a team. If they're gonna lose, it's gonna be early. But man, I really took the two teams that are in the Super Bowl last year.
I would like to clarify that you have now picked against the Eagles and the Chiefs the same.
Bold move, Cotton.
You know what, man? I
Off.
like it. You gotta love it. Cowboys at 49ers.
This we're about the 49ers.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pick against them.
We're on the same page. That's Sunday Night Football. I'm excited for that game, but the Cowboys have been up and down, up.
I can see them playing another stinker like football.
Yeah. And then Monday Night Football, the Packers are in Vegas against the Raiders. The Raiders are not on my no pick list, but they are about as high as you can ever be without being on that list.
Yeah.
Like if you reserve 4 teams to always be on your no pick list, the Raiders are like 5th. So I'm rolling with the Packers. I think this could be a close game. I don't know. Jair Devontae is going to be a fun matchup.
I would say if Jair doesn't play, Devontae is going for like 200. But
Yeah, yeah.
I totally see the vision though. It should be a good game.
I'll roll with the Packers. If they lose again this week, I won't pick them again for the rest of the year. We'll go back to our strategy from last year. But obviously, I already have you written down for the Packers. So
Yes, sir.
for those who keep count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different picks this week. I already have a 3-game lead on the year, so that could get interesting fairly quickly as it comes to the all-time records. But not much more to do other than watch Thursday Night Football. As always, thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on TikTok and Twitter. And share your friends, share the podcast. Let us know if you have any hot takes, what you think we should buy stock in. Convince us. Maybe we'll have you on. Give us a pitch. But without further ado, any closing statements?
No, I just kind of hope the Bears lose tonight. And maybe we get a new era interim head coach.
It's a new era. All right. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you next week.